Hello, Terra Sim, and hello, world. I'm your host, Dalva, and oh my god, we're already in January, right? We were in January last week, but it really feels like we're in January now. January 9th, 10th, and 11th, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the 9th, 10th, and 11th of January 2023. 2023. That's super futuristic date, right? We are drawing cards from, there we go, till it says not. Got a glare on it. We are drawing cards from the Sacred Forest Oracle by Denise Lynn. Okay, I'm going to try to get through this reading with the minimum amount of stumbles, stuttering, fumbles, so forth and so on. But as we all know, Mercury is still in retrograde. So double check your emails. Make sure you're not replying all. If your car hasn't been serviced, get your car serviced. Count to 10 before you say anything. All the stuff. Make sure you're setting aside time to pray, meditate, kind of go within, be reflective. So, and just kind of glancing at our cards sort of backs me up on that last one as far as being reflective. So before we get started, let's take a nice deep cleansing breath in. Let it go and let it flow. I'm going to show you all this deck one more time. It's not my favorite deck by Denise Lynn, but we get some good readings. Get some good readings. That was pretty accurate. We have this Pegasus and I think maybe a fairy. I think it's a regular person. I think it's a regular person riding a Pegasus. Anyway, but we're looking at spirits, wood spirits. All right, the sacred forest. All these different beings and energies that live in the forest. So, get those cards back together here. I'll go ahead and look at these. So, our first card is the Spirit of Winter. Surprise! It's January. I know some of us are experiencing temperatures, in the 60s. Thanks climate change. Thanks humans for creating climate change, but it's still winter. It's supposed to be winter in the northern hemisphere right now. And the message here is retreat. I don't think there's anything worse than being at work, like between Thanksgiving and Christmas, or any of the, holidays that we have between Thanksgiving and the end of December, and your body doesn't want to do it. It's like, no. You want to embrace your inner couch. You want to become one with the couch. You want your spirit and the spirit of the couch to merge. Okay, and this is where our bodies, our psyches, our hearts, our minds are at. But you have to go in and work, right? Or you have to get ready for the holidays. And I hear so many folks, particularly the women in my life, and the burden of and it's a burden. I want to be very clear about that. The burden of the holidays gets dumped on them, so they don't get to relax because they're cooking and they're appeasing their family members and they're appeasing their in-laws and they're, trying to make sure everybody else is comfortable and can enjoy the holiday. And in the meantime, they're exhausted, and so when they have to come back to work in January, they're even more exhausted than they were before their actual break. So, shout out to those ladies. I see you. Shout out to you ladies. I see you. But, this is saying, we're still in winter, folks, and our message here is retreat. So whatever energy you don't have to expend, don't do it. At this point, and I rarely encourage this, not with my earth placements, I rarely encourage this, but do the bare minimum. At this point, do the bare minimum that you have to do to get by with work, with social obligations, with whatever it is, and spend as much time, prioritize as much time as possible. Get in touch with that inner couch. Get in touch with your inner self. Our second card, I'm just going to bring it up because I'm going to mention this, but elves, playfulness, get in touch with your inner child. Okay, this is a time to reflect. This is a time to pour the foundation for what you want the year to look like. Meditate, get rid of anything that's not serving you, relationships that aren't serving you, situationships that aren't serving you, attitudes that are not serving you, beliefs that are not serving you. Anything that is impeding you, now's time, shed it, clean it out, get rid of it. Prepare. This is a time to prepare. And a lot of that preparedness is resting and recharging your batteries and relaxing and getting inside yourself and seeing what you want to carry forward and what you want to let go of. Okay, this is a season for this. Okay? And while we're doing some of that, which is its own kind of work, right? Inner work is still work, but sometimes I think it's less exhausting than a 9-to-5 job. I guess it just depends. I guess it depends on how you manage your energy. But for me, sometimes, that not having to deal with other people's energy is just, it's tough. My own stuff, I can juggle that, but, and maybe it's the opposite for you. Maybe you have some more extroversion than I do, but, we're being asked to, while we're doing this, play. And I think there's a lot of truth, like deep internal truth, in playing, in the joy and that letting go and being unself-conscious and doing things that bring you joy. And please, 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 if you didn't get a chance to do this over the holidays because either you were unfairly burdened by a gendered dinner task or whatever, or you had to deal with hostile family, or you had to deal with family that you don't get along with, or it just wasn't a good time for you, make it a good time now. Make it a good time now. Play, have fun. Carve out some time for yourself. Again, do the bare effing minimum, okay, of your actual duties and responsibilities to the outer world. Your responsibility now is to yourself. And part of that is going and playing. Isn't that weird? You have a responsibility to go play. Better to put that way, right? You have a responsibility to go out and play. And while we're doing all this, because sometimes it's hard, even when it's fun stuff, sometimes it's hard, we have the wise woman of the grove who's giving us the gift of grace. And we need to give ourselves some grace. Okay, sometimes I call it being addled from the holidays, but sometimes it's hard to kind of get yourself back into a groove or get yourself back into a space where things make sense or you can kind of function. Again, give yourself some grace with that. Okay, this is my first, actually my second week, back from work, and I still feel like out of place. Like, still feel like I'm, not quite where I'm supposed to be. And again, I feel like it goes back to this message. Do what you have to do. The rest of the time, play. Get yourself, we'll have springtime energy soon enough, and that'll be the time to, get done. But until then, rest, recharge your batteries, figure out, what you want to do, lay the foundation, okay, and give yourself some grace through all of this, no matter what it is. Give yourself some grace. Give other folks some grace, too, because they're doing the exact same thing, okay? Give them some grace, and I may have given this little spiel before, but our lives are filled with grace. We wouldn't, I don't believe for a second half of us would be alive if it wasn't otherwise. If you don't believe me, just pay attention on the interstate, the way people drive, and they're just insane. They're texting, they're driving with their knee, they got their open container, just not giving about anybody but themselves or where they gotta go. And it's terrible. It's a terrible energy. And yet somehow these people manage to not be subject to the laws of physics. Okay, somehow they manage some grace in there that keeps their car from getting crumpled up in a giant mass. That may sound traumatizing to some of you, and I apologize if it is. And I still stand by my point, because people don't think about you're in a piece of plastic flying down the road at 80 miles an hour. What happens when mass meets mass at that speed? None of us are special, y'all. It's like we're all subject to gravity. We're all subject to physics. But somehow we don't always reap the consequences of what we sow. Sometimes we eke by. Sometimes we may be by the skin of our teeth, but we manage. It's grace. We are loved. We are cherished. We are looked after. Tap into that. Especially when you're wanting to be hard on yourself. Especially when it's hard for you to play. Maybe it's hard for you to retreat and step back from some of these things. Give yourself some grace. Okay? Just a brief reminder, we're still transitioning over to the Facebook page. Hope to see you all there in that group. We're hoping to have everyone fully transitioned by February 1st. At that point, we probably will shut down, unless there's just some kind of something that happens. Fully shut down the Terra Nouveau website on Mighty Networks. So just a heads up, be on the lookout for that. We're just changing spaces, same content, just a little reshuffling of what we're doing. So if you have any questions about that, any questions about the reading, please leave them in the comments below. I hope everyone's having a fantastic week, and I'll talk to y'all again soon. Bye for now.